What's going on, everyone? Brian's here. Today is Monday, September 14th, 2020, and what we're looking at is a 60-minute time frame for the ES futures. This is my continuation from the video I released yesterday, which was a recap of the price action that occurred last week, mostly focused on the point of control. If you saw my previous video, you know I created a Discord group which is currently private. It's more so just for me to post screenshots of what I was seeing at the time in which I was seeing it, so you guys can see I posted this just before the market opened. I noticed that the point of control was down here. Now, why that is relevant is because if I zoom out, we're also looking at the same hourly time frame from the ES futures dating back to September 1st and September 2nd, just as the market started to pull back. We know bears have been in control, sellers have been in control, they've been very aggressive. Before, the point of control was at this level, which is why we had a lot of trouble breaking through this resistance, but we did pull back. The 50 SMA on the daily is at this level. So when I started doing my pre-market analysis, I interpreted this as we're now starting to build out a base or a bottom here for potential support to potentially push the market higher. So seeing that the ES had broke out of this channel at 9 p.m, that was important. But when I switched over to the Nasdaq, I noticed the Nasdaq at the same time was still well within its channel. Now granted, the channel is a little bit wider on the Nasdaq, so that could be one reason, but we also know tech has been selling off pretty aggressively. I pointed out at 4 a.m we had hit this peak, and on the ES this was the peak at 4 a.m here. You guys know the relevance of 3 a.m to 4 a.m. That's relevant because of the Chinese markets. If you're not familiar, you can check out my previous video where I went into little detail about that. Now, I was fairly confident going long this morning. in the Nasdaq for some very important reasons. Right after I posted this picture, I posted this is what the Nasdaq looked like. It was looking like it was going to break. That means relative to the ES, the Nasdaq was actually lagging. That meaning I was expecting some sort of breakout to come. Now the difference here is that the point of control was just below this level, whereas with the ES we were way down here. Now again, this is 9:30. This blue line right here is 9:30, just before the market was about to open. So I decided to shift more focus onto the Nasdaq. You guys know how much I love the Fibonacci retracements, so the next step usually for me is to draw out the fibs and try to see if I can spot a 50% retracement. In this particular case, I used the low from the gap up of yesterday. This is the ES chart, and from the swing low to the swing high, I noticed that we had the 50% retracement that occurred at 5 a.m, 6 a.m. at that time frame, and that had me already excited because I usually take that as the first pullback in which is needed to continue for the next leg up. If we look at the Nasdaq, we will see that the Nasdaq actually had a 50% retracement. Let me just extend this out so we can see the candlesticks pretty cleanly. This is from the low yesterday at 6 p.m. to the swing high at 4 a.m. right here. We can see this 50% retracement. Now I had my attention more shifted on the Nasdaq, like I said, because the point of control was pretty close. Disregard a lot of these notes. I'm just going to walk you guys through what I was seeing. So I was expecting this break, and the 50% retracement is what was beautiful to me here. If we shift to a smaller time frame, which is usually for the futures, I will make my entry probably off of the 15-minute time frame. As long as I have this 50% retracement at one point or another, I can take it as a go to take the trade in a continuation of the direction in which the trend I'm currently looking at. Again, now that might sound like a mouthful because we are in a downtrend, but we did potentially form a double bottom here in the Nasdaq. So I was expecting some sort of continuation to the upside, at least to get back up to the point of control, which is up here, which is this level right here. I got that point of control from Labor Day, as well as this major wick rejection. We know there's heavy resistance up there, but along the way I knew this was heavy resistance because that was what the previous video was mostly focused on, why that was such a beautiful short and why I anticipated this leg down here. So expecting the Nasdaq to get clear this level would have been a lot to ask for. So from this level, I was anticipating a move up to this level. Going back to Thinkorswim, this is 9 a.m. here. We had already actually came back down and retested this 50% level before continuing on a leg up. I love this because, as you guys know, I use the 61% retracement as my stop usually. So from here we're risking 22 points or so. I usually like to give the Nasdaq a 25-point stop loss. A stop loss like this would make sense not only because of the 61% retracement, but also because it's below a structure such as this consolidation here. Usually you want to go for a 1 to 3 whenever you're taking a trade in terms of risk reward, but for the Nasdaq I usually like to go for 75 to 100 points. So So if we're talking about a 25-point stop loss, that means we should be getting at least 75 points. This is 75 points right here, just below this top, which means we're hitting our profit target before the next potential resistance, which is what I love to see before you're taking a trade. Is your support, whichever level you're comfortable with. As I said, I'm comfortable with a 20 to 25 point stop loss. Is it below a structure, or is it just a random place? If not, then I consider it to be a good level to risk off of, as well as if is your profit target below a previous resistance. That means you're getting out pretty early and you don't have to worry about if you're not going to get up to this level, or if it's going to double top and then you will never end up hitting your PT if your PT is up here. In this particular case, this trade worked out beautifully, but as you can see, and as you guys might know, I do use these as my profit targets. So my first profit target, if I'm taking a 50% retracement, depending on how wide the range is with the Fibonacci's, again, this is a pretty tight fib. We're not fibbing it out from here to up here. That would make things a lot wider. If you guys want to see, I'll draw this out so you guys can see. So say for example, this, it just means from here to here, this is a much larger stop. But that's not what I want to focus on. I like it when the Fibonacci's are pretty tight like this. So from here to here, this is sometimes considered my first PT, but for a trade like this, the PT will be up here, especially since I'm expecting continuation with this trade. This is usually an XPT, and this is usually a swing PT for a setup like this. It's after 6 p.m., so the futures market is open right now, so I won't be surprised if we continue up and we get another target here. I'm not currently trading, and sometimes I do trade the micro futures, so I'm not always trading the Nasdaq. I do use this information to trade the micros. For those of you that don't know, the micro futures is just M and Q, and you can use the same technical analysis to take a trade on this. It just means each point is only worth $2 as opposed to each point being worth 20. So if you guys want to see from here to here, pretty much the same price action. It just means I'm going to risk with 25 points. I'm risking significantly less money if I'm looking for a swing trade. I do not swing or hold the actual E-Mini futures. I don't tend to hold those overnight, but just wanted to show you guys that there is the option to trade those. So again, this is what I'm sort of expecting for we might hit this in the overnight session, or it might happen during tomorrow's power hour. Who knows in this market right now. Shifting back to my next post in which I was observing, this is now the second hour of the market being open. And as we broke this resistance, I took this to just take your foot off the gas for any long trades, especially in anything in tech, because at the same time, the ES was coming up to this point of control, which was up here. If you guys remember, it was down here before the market opened, and now it was up here. That means there was some selling going on right here, and there was definitely resistance showing on the tape. However, I was expecting a consolidation before the next leg up, but I wouldn't have been surprised if we got rejected, which is what ended up happening around lunchtime. The ES did flag up here before bulls just lost momentum and we retraced, and at the same time the Nasdaq could not clear this area, and we pulled all the way back to the point of control. If I was you guys, I would mark these levels down. If you're watching this video, this is the point of control on the Nasdaq right now from this low. I would jot that down, as well as on the ES, just so you guys know this is the level for the point. This is the point of control, 3,385.75. Expect to clear from there. The next resistance will be up here, which is in confluence with the point of control, and if we clear there, we can expect some continued momentum. That's just my thoughts right now on the market. Now, using this information on the futures, I did take a trade on the SPY, which didn't work out as beautifully as I would have liked it to. I ended up just stopping out for a break even. It was an options trade. I noticed at the same time the ES is pulling back. I did my fibs on the SPY just from the swing low, from the gap up low to the swing high of the day, and I saw this 50% retracement. I did like that the SPY was consolidating here, so I went ahead and bought some SPY call options for the 342 strike for Wednesday expiration, just expecting the SPY to get back to at least this area. But as you guys can see, we ended up getting stuck at VWAP, and then once we started rolling back over, I just stopped out for a break even. I just wanted to point that out because using futures, you can also use that as an edge to take certain trades on the SPY, and sometimes the SPY can help make decisions on the futures. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, mark these levels down and be aware of them, because if the SPY does continue, don't be surprised if we get potential resistance at this level as well as this level up here, and know that if we break here, we're probably going to get a nice, we could potentially get a nice run up. I'll try to do a midweek video if anything, as the points of control moves. It's more so, these videos are more so for you guys can follow along with the trade in which, follow along with exactly that in which I'm watching, and I'll save the longer videos if anything for over the weekend. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Like this video if you want to see more content like this, more short based content, stuff that's happening in the middle of the week. Leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.